Welcome to Living Afraid, the show that tries to bring awareness to the countless missing and murdered Indigenous women. I'm your host, Savannah Carroll, and today we are talking about how the justice system has failed so many young women. Throughout time, Indigenous women have been abducted and murdered. They walk around with a target on their back, surrounded by fear because of the lack of support they have in the law. Vulnerable and unprotected is how many describe their life. The injustice within our law enforcement has and will continue to lose the lives of many Indigenous girls and women, and it must be stopped. More awareness needs to be spread about the harsh realities of this world. Michelle Shawner, an 18-year-old pregnant Indigenous woman, a good family friend of mine, was abducted and then murdered on her way home from work. This case didn't strike the police as an emergency, and it took them a little over a year to find Michelle's remains. Michelle's disappearance wrecked her mother and anyone who knew her. To this day, the case is still not solved. There are so many families that never get that closure. Some kids never are found, or their murderers or rapists are never brought to justice. It's not that their cases aren't any more difficult than others. It's because they're Indigenous, and the officers don't care enough to work on it. Michelle Shawner will never be forgotten and hopefully is avenged, along with the thousands and thousands of others killed. A similar but more well-known case is Amber's. Amber Alyssa Takuro, a 20-year-old Indigenous woman, was taken and murdered by a man who still roams free. Amber is a beloved mother to her son Jacob, both from the Misikyu Cree First Nation tribe. Amber was last seen on August 18, 2010, in Nasku, Alta. Hours before, she was with her son Jacob, who was only 14 months old and a good family friend. Amber's plan was to stay on the outskirts of the city for the night to avoid the high prices within it. After that night, Amber, Jacob, and Amber's female friend would head to Edmonton the next morning. Amber was far too excited to rest, so she decided she wanted to explore and went on what she planned to be a small walk to explore the city. In the morning, Amber didn't return. Fear rose in her loved ones fast, and her mother filed a missing persons report that morning. The police did not find this case worthy enough for further investigation. In fact, after a month, Amber was still not found, and they took her off the missing persons list. Police claimed she, quote, was probably out partying and not to worry, end quote. Police refused to take this case seriously for the first 2 years, but on August 28, 2012, 2 years and 10 days after Amber went missing, the RCMP released a cell phone conversation Amber had. Although the conversation was between Amber and her brother, who was in prison, it was 17 minutes. The RCMP released a one minute long clip where Amber was being accompanied by an unknown man. Within this clip, you can hear Amber asking, quote, "Where are we going?" End quote, quote, "This isn't the way to the city," end quote. To which the man replied with, quote, "Yes it is, it's just the back roads," end quote. When RCMP released this clip, they hoped it would bring in reports of who this man was, and it did just that. Within those 4 days, a few women came forward and all identified the man as the same person. Within a couple people confirming the man's identity, the RCMP looked into the man, but he was not a person of interest. Just 4 days after the audio was released, Amber's skeletal remains were found in Leduc County by horseback riders on September 1st, 2012. Just like that, a missing persons case turned into a murder investigation. To this day, this man has still not been caught, and a lot of time wasted on the fact that the police did not take this case seriously. 2 years, even a month, allows a lot of time for a man to escape and get away with this, and that is what occurred. Amber and her family deserve justice. The only thing that can be done now is for this man to be caught. Amber is more well known within Canada and is just one example of an Indigenous woman being taken and murdered, and the police not looking into it enough to find the person responsible. Another case is Molly Martin, a 14-year-old girl who was abducted by a 47-year-old man named Doyle. Molly was last seen around 4 p.m. on August 13th, 2020. Video footage surveillance from a gas station in Catalogne, Nova Scotia from that day shows Molly interacting with Doyle. A worker from that gas station said Molly appears to be in danger. The police said Martin's case didn't fit the criteria for an Amber Alert because they didn't believe that she was abducted or truly in danger. An online petition calling for an Amber Alert into Molly's disappearance had 13,000 signatures. After the petition received a lot of attention, police then pulled out a local Amber Alert. Molly Martin was thankfully found safe on August 22nd. If police never put out that Amber Alert for Molly Martin, she could have never been found, or worse. Molly Martin could have yet been another grim statistic. So many lives that have been lost due to the neglect towards Indigenous women. And although we can do nothing to fix that, we want to prevent it from occurring again. Every missing person should be treated the same, no matter race, ethnicity, age, or cultural background. Prejudice should never be more important than life. With recent events, the BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color Lives Matter, has been trending social media. This movement, which started on social media, is a great way to spread awareness to current situations. We should continue to use social media to expose the truths of our world and to teach those who are uneducated on these situations. Lately, a stance and protest for what's right. Indigenous lives are underappreciated in our society. By law, they are treated less than. And it is our job to fight against those rules. We have to leave racism in the past and protect the lives of everyone equally. We are all human. Thank you so much for joining me here. My name is Savannah Carroll, and this is Living Afraid. Remember to treat all equally, educate yourself on current events on social media, and to take a stance and protest for what is right.